Good afternoon, everybody. Again, this is Charles Franklin Jr. back with you, discussing a little bit of part of my life. Even though I was born in 1962, I like to start around the 70s. That's usually when I was pretty much kind of up in age, maybe like around 9, 10 years old. And I want to talk a little bit about that time period. 1970, one of the things I started my love for fish was in 1970, love for tropical fish. I saw my older cousin Ulysses. He had I think it was maybe like a 15 or 20 gallon tank at that time. And his tank was really, really nice. And so I asked my older cousin some questions about the fish. And that's how I got into the hobby of tropical fish. That kind of graduated to saltwater fish as time went on, as I got older, mastered freshwater fish. I kind of got into saltwater fish a little later on in life. Some of the first fish that I started out with was like a lot of people started out with, was goldfish. Used to be a fishing shop, not a pet store, but a fish shop that sold catfish, walleye, trout, that type of fish. 3 blocks from my house, or 4 blocks from my house on 89th and Loomis here in Chicago. And they used to sell 2 different types of goldfish, regular goldfish and a goldfish called Black Moor. So I kind of got into that. That graduated into tropical fish, which the water difference between cold water fish, which are goldfish, and tropical fish, which is a little warmer temperature in the water. That temperature in the water is like 78 degrees. Goldfish can get along with temperatures around 70 degrees, 72. Tropical fish between 78 and 80 generally. And so I kind of got into tropical fish, your basic fish like your guppies, your swordtails, your platies, tiger barbs, neon tetras, fish like that. Those are your community fish. And so I kind of got into that. As time progressed on, I stayed into the hobby. Some pet stores opened up in my area on 93rd and Loomis, 93rd and Ashland. That was a pet store called Hawkins Pet Shop. There was one down, which is still there, on 86 in Ashland, called Golden's House of Tropicals. They're still there. Then there was one down on 83rd in Ashland called Wesley's House of Tropicals. He's gone. Mr. Wesley was old. He was up in age then. He probably about in his 60s then. Well, he's dead and gone now. And so those guys were my mentors in the pet hobby, in the tropical fish hobby. I would walk from 83rd in Ashland down to 93rd in Ashland. And then I would leave there and go home. And those guys were so full of knowledge. Mr. Wesley, Mr. Carl Goldens at Golden's Pet Supply, Jim Hawkins at Hawkins House of Tropicals. Those guys were my big brothers / fathers in the hobby. And so I developed a love for fish myself. That led on to me eventually not having fish when I went into the military after I graduated out of high school. 2 weeks out of graduation from high school, I went into the Marine Corps, and I served 6 years in the Marine Corps from 80 to 86. 4 years, 3 years active, 3 years active reserve. And eventually I started working for pet stores. I ended up being a manager for 2 of the 3 pet stores that I worked for. And now I try to lead people and guide people along the hobby of collecting fish. When I left, when I stopped doing tropical fish, I pretty much mastered them in my mind. I wanted to move on to something a little bit more harder, a little bit more difficult. So what I'm doing now is that I've gotten into saltwater fish. So saltwater fish is a little bit more difficult than tropical fish. I would tell anybody not to go into saltwater fish without mastering, or at least somewhat mastering, freshwater fish. And so master freshwater fish, you got to know the ins and outs. I'm still back in freshwater fish right now, but I'm dealing with African cichlids right now. And a lot of them come from the 3 lakes in Africa, which is Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, and Lake Victoria. Most of the fish that I have in my 150-gallon boat front, which is a custom-cut aquarium, most of the fish that I got in that tank, the average fish will run you between $75 to could possibly be like $300-400 for one fish. So again, I wouldn't be buying that kind of fish if I didn't feel like I've halfway mastered this hobby. So again, it's a hobby that I love, a hobby that I've embraced. I got 3 hobbies in my life. One is tropical fish. The second one is my love for playing drums. Talk a little bit about that. My love for playing drums go back to 1975. That's when I got my very first drum set. I was playing for a church at that time called Seven Star Missionary Baptist Church, and right on 87th Street here in Chicago. And the first time I tried to play drums for the church, the choir members laughed at me. I mean, I felt so bad after choir rehearsal that I left the choir rehearsal that Tuesday night, my brother Daryl and we walked home. I had cried so much going home, and I had told my brother Daryl, I'm not picking up another drumstick. I don't want to play drums anymore, and this and that. He was like, no, man, I saw how you looked when you played drums. You really loved the instrument. You took more of a love for the instrument more so than I did. My brother Daryl started out playing drums. I started out playing guitar in 1973, roughly. And so I went home that night, and I told the Lord, I said, Father God, if you bless my hands and you bless my feet to play the drums, I'll always play in reverence to you. And so the Lord saw how serious I was, and like the Bible says, you know, if you have the mustard seed of the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. So the Lord blessed my hands and blessed my feet. So now I play drums for different choirs, different singers, or whatever, whether it's down in Mississippi, which is where I currently live, in Clarksville, Mississippi, or here in Chicago. If I'm home or whatever, I used to play with a band called Floyd Wilson and his All-Stars, which was a blues band. And we played all over Chicago, but mostly up on the west side. And so like I said, I've been playing drums since then. Some of my drum masters, I love playing drums. First guy I got turned on to playing the drums in 1975 was a black gentleman named Billy Cobham. Billy Cobham was my first influence when I first started learning how to play the drums. I saw Billy on videotape. They had VHS tapes out then. I saw Billy as time went on. I went to some of his clinics, and man, Billy was doing some stuff on drums I never thought I could imagine doing. Billy was just that masterful when it came to playing drums. Second guy I got turned on to was a white older gentleman named Louis Bellson. Louis Bellson, another master of the drums. Louis Bellson was the first drummer that came out with playing the double bass drum. He's known as the double bass drum pioneer. He was the first drummer to play double bass. Third drummer I got turned on to was Buddy Rich. Buddy Rich is known as the best drummer all around. He was just all around drummer. He played for guys like Artie Moore, some of the big names of the 50s and 60s, some of the big band era guys. And he was known for playing even with Duke Ellington. And those are some of the top three drummers that I got turned on to when I first picked up a pair of drumsticks, was those three guys. Of course, I got so many different idols now, from Dave Weckl, Vinnie Colaiuta, Jonathan Moffett, Sonny Emery, Jonathan Sugarfoot Moffett, should I say. Man, there's so many drummers out there. I try to learn from everybody. One of the things I learned from Louis Bellson when I went to one of his clinics is that a good musician got to be like a sponge. He got to be able to suck up any information that he can get from drummers, guitar players, horn players, whatever. If you are a good musician, you're going to actually listen to the people that you're playing with. And so, like I said, I just learned how to ask the Lord to let me be like a sponge. Let me hear a trumpet player or a guitar player or a bass player and be able to find out where they're going melodically on the drum set. So again, that was my second love, is my first, the fish tank hobby. Second, the drums. The third would be my love for movies. I have probably roughly about 800 DVDs in my collection, personally. And I look at everything, man. Somebody said, man, you look at all these movies. You don't look at them just once. I know I look at my movies several times. I love my movies, and I look at them. It depends what I'm in the mood for. Around Halloween time, I may be in a horror movie thing. I may pop in, some of the horror movies, and I watch some of them. Around Christmas time, I got a Christmas collection of movies. I pop in my Christmas movies, around Christmas time.
What's your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie is probably White Christmas. I love White Christmas. My wife, she loves It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. I love that. And so, like I said, we watch those periodically. But I got a lot of Christmas movies. I'm a huge fan of Hallmark Christmas movies.
Favorite color?
My favorite color would probably be burgundy. I've always liked burgundy.
Favorite food?
My favorite food would probably, I love hibachi style foods, so I love hibachi. That's like a Chinese food from the back. Say, what's hibachi? Well, it's like a Chinese type food. I love Chinese food.
Hey, what's going on? This is I'm Charles William Franklin III, and today we're doing a little documentary, man, about my pops, Charles Franklin Jr., and where he grew up, and kind of where I started my little childhood life. So we're gonna have him talk about it. So Pops, you tell him about the house you grew up in.
Okay, my family bought this house here, 9306 South Loomis. My mom and dad bought this house in January of 1970. And we owned this house from January 1970 to my dad sold the house, I believe, was September of 1995. My mother, Charles's grandmother, lived here until January 1989, when she passed away from lupus. And I grew up on this block, man. Many people, many neighbors, the Barksdales, the Cobbs, the Jenkins, the Tanksleys, the Boones, the Jenkins over there. Yeah, so we lived on this block, man, for a long time. Dad offered me the home before he sold it and moved back down to Mississippi, where I currently live, in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And he offered me the house. There's just too many bad memories associated for me. So I opted to pass on the house. But this is the childhood home that I grew up in, right here, the Franklins. Charles and Evelyn Franklin, Daryl Franklin, David Franklin. And again, I'm Charles Franklin Jr. And we lived in the house up until 1995, where my dad sold it.
And David Franklin is your
brother,
younger brother.
Youngest brother, yeah.
And Daryl's
my younger brother. David is my baby brother. Yeah, they lived in the house also. And like I said, I moved out, got married, and moved out before they moved out of the house. But yeah, this was the house right here.
And also too, it was different. You know, when you first moved into the house, we had like a Franklin F sign right in front of the red.
We had a blue awning on the front of the house. It had a white F on the front of the house for Franklin, of course. And that was on the house then. This house, as far as I know, this house has been owned or bought by two people after we sold it. A young man bought the house, and I guess from what I was told, he didn't keep up on the payments. It was foresold the house or whatever, foreclosed on the house. And I guess he sold it to the current owner, from what I was told. So it's an older lady that lives in the house now. And so I guess she still owns it. I haven't seen her in a while. But the house looks a little different than it did when my family owned it. But yeah, this is my childhood home right here, 9306 South Loomis. This was my home. Many days I watched Abbott and Costello, the Three Stooges, and man, Honeymooners, all them old shows, Hogan Heroes, all them old shows from the 70s. I watched right there in that room, right there. That was our front room right there. My mom and dad had the front room furniture. It's a fireplace in that room there.
Did you also have a high five in there?
Yeah, we had a high-fi stereo in there.
You don't know what that is, an old stereo player.
Old stereo system.
For the vinyl records.
It's about 7 feet long, about 6 feet long. And we played a lot of vinyl. My brother Daryl and I played a lot of vinyl. My mom played her Christmas carols this time of the year. Cooked a lot of Sunday night dinners, but she fixed them on Saturday. I put together a lot of monster models in this house, man, right here. I was a huge fan of that time. A Creature feature was out. And that's when Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy, the Werewolf, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Forgotten Soldier, the Phantom of the Opera. I watched all the movies in this house right here, man. Who you waving at?
Somebody up there.
And maybe Lexi. And so yeah, so like I said, maybe my niece.
Okay. Well,
but anyway, yep. So that's the thing. So like I said, man, this block brings back a whole lot of memories for me. And like I say, man, it's just, when I look at this block, my mind go back, 45, 50 years on this block, man. Walking down, we had a drugstore at the corner of the block down there, 2 blocks down, called Rexall drugstore. We had a lot of different fruit stand down there. A pastor friend of mine, Pastor Larry Sarton, his family live on 92nd and Ada. He used to be down there. My mom used to go and get her fruits and vegetables from down there from him. And so there again, like I say, man, a lot of memories on this block, man.
Okay,
a lot of memories.
Before we move to the next part of this doc, Can you give us a little bit more of who else stay? I mean, you said some people that you grew up with lived in some of these houses. So who lived here? Who lived in this house here?
Oh, this particular house right here, this is a house that the guy I used to trade comic books with. His name is Tony Pike. And Tony and I grew up as childhood friends. This particular house right here. He and I traded many comic books together, man. Back then, we didn't have comic book stores like y'all have now. We had the book stands, newspaper stands, and Tony and I used to go get him and a guy named Leon Howard. Leon family lived on the next block around the corner on Bishop, 93rd and Bishop. And he and I, the three of us, used to trade comic books with each other in this house right here. Tony's mom still owns the house. She rents the rooms out in this house. She got rooms for rent. And so, yeah, you know, if you come in from town and you need a place to stay or whatever, she rents rooms out in this house. I don't know how many rooms she's got in this house, but it's changed really considerably since I lived on the block, because her house used to look identical to this house over here. But now she changed it. She just put the rooftop thing up on top up there. And, you know, got a room, I guess, up there in the attic with an air conditioning system up there.
What about the other lady you said that you said somebody else lived on this block?
Jenkins used to stay right here in this house here. I used to be good friends with her son. Can't think of his first name right now. It's been a lot of years. But Jenkins used to live here. This house right here was the Cobb family. I eulogized their youngest daughter. We called her Beanie. Her name was Dawn, D-A-W-N. They called me a couple of years ago to come down and come up here to eulogize their daughter. They couldn't think of nobody else to do it, but somebody that knew Dawn personally. And me and Dawn, I remember Dawn has been a little bitty baby girl. And they asked me to come if I could come, and took care of me really nice. Then the family next door to them was the Barksdale family. Frank and Rosemary Barksdale bought that home. Their son, Frank Jr., was my very first best friend. We grew up as brothers, he and I. He played the drums. I was a guitar player at the time. And he was the drummer for the little band that we had here on the block. And
you played the guitar?
That was the first instrument I played.
You never tell me that. See,
well, anyway,
now I'm learning something.
See. Well, yeah, the very first instrument that I played growing up in this house in 1973, we used to have a music store on 93rd and Ashland called Martin Music Store. And I was taking guitar lessons. My brother Daryl was playing drums at that time, and Frank was playing drums. And Frank
Bass or electric?
What's that?
The
guitar? Electric guitar.
Okay.
I had a Fender Stratocaster copy. And my brother Daryl was playing drums. He was taking drums for a drum instructor, a man named Mr. Keto. And Mr. Keto's passed away since then. And Mr. Martin, I don't know if Mr. Martin's still living or not, but the shop is gone. He had a music shop where they would sell music books and different types of instruments they sold. They had mostly a catalog business because it was a small operation. You know, back then we had Guitar Center. We had Just Music on 95th, Guitar Center. It took over Just Music. And then now you got Guitar Center on Cicero now. But yeah, like I said, Frank Barksdale was my first best friend, one of the baddest drummers in this area that I knew of. He was a very bad, funky drummer. And then we had him and another guy named Charles Reynolds. Him and Charles were classmates. Charles was a real good drummer too back in those days. I don't know if Charles is still playing drums now or not. He was also an excellent drummer. He lived about 3 blocks over on Laughlin. He was Laughlin or Justine. And so yeah, we all three came up playing drums, man, talking drums and this and that when we would get together. But yeah, this is my old block. Yep, so this is the block I grew up on. Over 25 years we own this house, man. And a lot of memories. I've raked up a lot of leaves off this tree right here in front of this house. Picking up a lot of leaves off the front of this house, man. So yeah, a lot of good memories.
Cool. Well, now we're gonna head on to a few of the locations. I think probably the elementary school.
Next closest.
So yeah, so we're headed to the elementary school, and then
high school.
Kind of go then high school. Go from there.
Yep.
So now we have the next location. This is the elementary school where my pops grew up, man. So you're gonna tell us a little bit about how it was around here and where everything is located. Take it away.
Okay, this is my elementary school. I attended elementary school here at Fort Dearborn Elementary School from 1973 to 1976 is when I graduated from the class of 1976 from here at Fort Dearborn. He's going to go through this main door here. The office is right there where you see those 2 air conditioning vents that they changed a lot of years ago. That was the main office right there. Right here was our auditorium. Well, I got my musical start right in that door there. You go straight to that door. You see the stage there, stairs, all that stuff. That's where we did a lot of the plays. Did a lot of Christmas Carol plays right there in that auditorium. And if you go down here to the next door down, further down, that's our lunchroom down there, of the lunchroom. So yeah, I had a lot of good memories here, a lot of bad memories. I got bullied at this school a lot, and growing up, and it's to the place where I said when I got in high school that I wouldn't get bullied again. But the same guys that bullied me, most of them are still living, and you know, they still the same, got the same crazy mentality. But you know, sometimes we have to separate ourselves.
Right.
So again, this is my elementary school. A lot of good days, a lot of bad days. Second floor was mostly for 5th and 6th graders. Third floor was for 7th and 8th graders. And that's where, again, I got my start right here, Fort Dearborn Elementary School. And we also had another thing of demonables, they call them, back in the day, behind the building, where a lot of had like some 5th and 6th graders when the school got overpopulated, they put them back there. But yeah, well, they sent them to a school called Robichaud, which at that time was on 93rd and Ashland. That was Robichaud School. But like I said, this is where I got my second start. My first elementary school was down on 35th Street. But this is the second elementary school that I went to. I graduated from this school, again, class of 1976.
Did you have uniforms back then?
No, we didn't have no uniforms. Everybody wore what they wore. We had no uniforms back then. That's way in that generation after me.
We had to wear white and blue. We was at elementary school. They
Yeah,
wear their regular clothes.
we was wearing regular clothes. We didn't have no school uniform or none of that, unless you was like cheerleaders for the elementary, the high school. They had not high school. They had an elementary school basketball team here, and if you were part like of a cheerleader or something like that, or a basketball squad, then yeah, they had uniforms for that. They didn't have no uniforms just to wear to school. We didn't have none of that. So like I said, I had a lot of good days and a lot of bad days here at the school. About 50-50, you know. But this was my elementary school. See the door, it says main entrance on the door? Still the same. So that's where you go in that door.
Where you said the gym?
Gym down there.
Okay.
Right down. Matter of fact, see the little steeples right there?
Right.
That's where the gym. You go up them stairs, and that way, that's the gymnasium right there. Yep, that was the gymnasium.
This is about
And right next to it is the lunchroom, huh?
This is about how far from the house? Like
3 blocks.
3 blocks?
3 blocks. This is 90th and True. I stayed at 93rd and Loomis. So you go this way 3 blocks and go over 2 blocks. You got Troop Street, which is this street, Ada, then you got Loomis. So me and Daryl had to walk, 3.5 blocks to get to school and back home. This is if you walking, you warm, because you're so busy talking and walking, you're young. So now it probably would affect me because I'm older. The cold affects me different now. But back then, man, it's manual age and shit, no. I wouldn't even feel it. I wouldn't even feel this cold. Right. Even when I was walking to high school many days, it'd be cold. And I'm walking with a trumpet in my hand and drumsticks in my hand. And I'm walking on from 93rd Loomis to 80th and 81st in May.
Dude.
And almost, 12 blocks? 12 blocks. Right. So yeah.
Cool. All right, well, we're headed to the next spot, high school. So,
all right,
let's go.
Sign off from here. Okay.
So now we at my pop's high school, man. So this is a pretty big school, man. Like this is pretty massive, but yeah, he's gonna talk about how it was like growing up. What time frame was this? Was it 70s?
76.
76.
76 to 80.
And I'm curious, around this time, 76. What kind of music was out there when you was in high school?
A lot of Bootsy, Funkadelic, One Nation Under a Groove, Parliament, Spinner, of course the Spinners, okay. Temptation, Stylistics, all the old school.
That was
they played at that time. Yeah, that was the era of music I grew up listening to. From my elementary school, Fort Dearborn, when we just left, to my high school. This was Calumet High School. Since last time I was here, sign was up there. That was about maybe 3 years ago. It was called Calumet Prep School. Now it must be gone now because there's no sign up there now. And when I graduated, we put a new sign up there. We had a new sign. Our class bought a new sign. And then I think this class 2 or 3 years after us, class of 82 or 83, put up another sign. So last sign I saw up there was Calumet Prep High School. And so now that sign is gone, as you can see. So I was part of the ROTC thing here. I did 3 years of ROTC at the school. Every morning we had to come to our four of us, me, Fussell, a guy named Lewis, and I can't think of the other guy name. I'm looking at his face, but I can't think of his name. The four of us used to hang the flag right up there. That's the flagpole right there. We used to be here. We had to be here before they start the first period. Before the first period started, we had to hang the flag up. The American flag and the city flag, Chicago flag. We'd hang those two flags up, and then we got our day started, man. And we were in, if it was a day we had inspection, like Wednesdays, I think we had our ROTC inspections, we would be in uniform. And other than that, we just go out there and do the motions, put the flag up, you know, and that's it. But when you're in uniform, of course, you have to salute the flag as the flag going up the pole, and all of that. It was four of us part of that. This is also where I got a big part of my musical training from. I was in band at this school. I was in band from the time I came to the time I graduated, from the class of 76. The 76 through the class of 80. And a lot of seniors, when I was in my senior year in 1980, a lot of them was having like 3 or 4 periods of classes. I still had 9 periods of class because 4 or 5 of those classes was music classes. I was part of the marching band, the concert band, instrumental music, jazz band. I was part of all 4 of those bands at this school right here. So I have a lot of great memories, man, from being in track. I ran track 3 of the 4 years I was here. I was in band for 4 years here. I did 6 months of playing football, and again I ran track. And there's some of everything here, man. This was.
You ran track?
I ran track back in the day. I was 167 pounds.
Was you any good at running track?
I was pretty good. I wasn't like your mom or your brothers. I mean, your uncles and aunties. I wasn't like that. I wasn't on that level.
How was you in football?
I didn't like football because I didn't like getting hit.
You didn't do wrestling?
I did do wrestling. Thanks for reminding me. I did do wrestling. I did wrestling for 3 of the 4 years. I basically wanted to concentrate on graduating. When I got in my senior year, I didn't want nothing keeping me from graduating. I had failed a class in music, and so I had to take night school. Because I had to go right back here to night school, come right back up here to night school for a portion of my semesters, just to be able to graduate and walk across that stage on time with my class, with my graduating class. So yeah, this is where a lot of years here, man. Fort Dearborn, Calumet High School. Yeah.
Well, you know, I had to do night school too, to be honest.
Yeah, I had to do night school
to pass high school. So
yeah, that's what I had to do. I had to do what they call that? Not a year, but a thing of school, a night school. No, I can't think of the word I want to use. But I had to do a semester. That's the word I want to use. I had to do a semester of night school here, and in order for me to graduate with my class, or not, I could have graduated through summer school. Between the classes of 80 and 81, I wanted to walk across the stage with my class of 1980. So I went to night school, man. I didn't like it because I had to give up working at Jewel Food Store, which is where I was working at the time as a bagger, cashier, and I had to give up working to go to school at night. But I had to do what I had to do because, man, I didn't want to graduate with the class between the class of 80 and 81. I wanted to graduate with my graduating class, which was the class of 80. And so I'm grateful to walk across the stage with some friends of mine, like Daphne Tucker, Simone Height, Veronica Calloway, Audrey Long, Vincent Russell, Terrence Burnett. We all came out of this school, you know. And this also was the school that Chaka Khan graduated from, right here. She was class of 1970. She came out with my cousin Ruby Stewart. Her name was Ruby Orr at the time. And they walked across the stage together from Calumet, class of 1970. So yeah, and then also, I don't know how many of you guys remember the black actor William Marshall. He played the actor Blackula. He was the black vampire. He got bit by Dracula, and he did 2 movies. William Marshall did 2 movies called Blackula and Blackula Scream. He also was an alumni of Calumet High School, but William Marshall came out sometime in 1960. So when William Marshall came out of the school, this school was really mostly white. It was mostly a white neighborhood back in those days. I think when Chaka Khan and my cousin Ruby graduated, it was probably about 50-50, half black, half white. When William Marshall came out of this school, it was mostly all white. Most I looked at this because they used to have a picture of him and Shaka Khan in the hallway. I don't know if the pictures were taken down or what. But again, this building is not what it used to be. Overall, for the year it is, it still look good. It was named after a Calumet High School was named after an Indian tribe. That's what the symbol of this school is, Calumet Indians. And so if you look up history, Calumet Indians, it was a tribe, Calumet tribe. And so they named this school after Calumet. My last school was named after actual Fort Dearborn. There was an actual fort that was called Fort Dearborn. And they named that school after an actual fort that was called Fort Dearborn. So there's a lot of history in these two schools, man, my elementary school and my high school. If we go to the back of this building, this is the way that I remember a lot of the track members used to warm up. We also had a football field behind this building, where sometimes they played local football games, it'd be right behind this building. So a lot of the alumni that graduated from this school could leave from football game and go straight home or wherever they was going after that. So that's pretty much it. Again, I was here from 1976, and I graduated, I believe it was May 19th, 1980. That's the 4 years that I attended this school, man. And I loved my school when I was here. I came back a couple of years after that. My high school sweetheart her name was Cassandra Denise Ellis, and she lived a few blocks over. And I came the year after I graduated. I came and went to her prom with her, class of 1981, Calumet prom. And she still was here. She graduated from the school, class of 81. Where Cassandra is right now, I can't even begin to tell you. But Cassandra, if you're looking at this girl, hey, Calumet, class of 80 and 81, I tell you. But that was it. That's pretty much all I remember, other than little stuff. Like I said, I ran track, played 6 months of football. I was on a wrestling team for 3 out of my 4 years here. I was in band all 4 years here. For the most part, I took about 4 or 5 classes of music. That's what I had to do to graduate from this particular school. Before we graduated, all of us that were music majors, we had to write and compose our own music. That's when I was deep into it at the time. I used to be able to sight read like crazy. Can't do that now, but mostly play by ear now. I'm a drummer. I've been playing drums now over 40 years, and I mostly play by ear, mostly. But if you give me a little long enough to look at the music, I may be able to kind of figure it out. But then when I graduated from high school, I sold the guitar, sold the trumpet, and just stuck with drums. And mostly I stuck with drums because my mom and dad told me, we're not buying your drum set. We bought you a trumpet, you didn't stick with it. We brought you a guitar, you didn't stick with it. So if you're gonna play drums, you're gonna buy your own drum set, and that way we know you have a good chance of sticking with it. Well, their philosophy worked. I'm still sticking with it, even to this day. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Charles William Franklin Jr. It's Charles William Franklin III, and we thank you for your time. Signing off.
Signing off.
That's it.
So this part of the documentary basically just wanted to, talk to my dad and ask him, basically how he met my mom, and he could talk about his 3 sons. He has 3 sons. So
Yeah.
right. Well, that's what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, okay.
So how did you meet my mom? How did that?
Okay, well, me and Karen go back to our former church that we used to go to together. Church was called Christ Bible Center, located 134, or used to be 134, east on 111th Street in Chicago. Man, Karen and I kind of killed, but I saw them come through the church because I was there when they came. Karen's family came around 78, 79. They came to Christ Bible Center, and I had been there from the very beginning. And so I saw Karen, her mom, her dad, and her brothers and sisters and them come to the church. And her dad became the president of the elder board at Christ Bible Center. So Karen and I was always friends. Sometimes she came there. I used sometimes go and see her run track at her high school, Eisenhower, and Rob, I can't think of the area where that high school was at, but in the south suburbs. And I would go sometime and see her run track, or we'd see each other at church. We took a liking for each other, and I asked her to be my girlfriend at that time, and she did. She agreed. And over a period of time, I just knew I felt like I wanted to make her my wife. So Karen and I got married in 1985, in November of 1985, and we got married. A friend of ours named Pastor Dwayne Mason, he married us. Kim Riddle was one of the people that was in attendance of our wedding. My best friend, Michael Smith, a pastor, Michael Smith, he also was in attendance of the wedding. And her best friend at that time, named Carla, she was also Karen's best friend. She was one of the attendants and also of the wedding. So Karen and I got married. Time went along. That next September came along. Charles was born September 26, 1986. And after that, Justin was born September the 5th, 1987. Then our baby, Quentin Wesley Franklin, was born December the 6th, 1987. 88. And so he was born. So yeah, God had blessed us with 3 sons. And as time went on, things went through things, and Karen and I eventually separated and divorced. But we still had a good relationship with our sons. And so pretty much after that, they started getting big and started leading their own lives. And then grandchildren were born eventually down the road. The oldest is being Emmanuel, who's my oldest grandson. And then after Emmanuel was Jaden, which is Quentin's son.
AKA Baby Jaden.
Jaden. And then after that was Casey, Quentin's daughter. And then after that was Celine. And then the youngest of all 5 grandchildren was Miss Sadie.
Yeah.
And she's the grownest one out of all 5 of them.
Which are my 2 babies.
That's Sadie. She's the grownest out of all of them. So yeah, so God has blessed me with 2 sons still left. Justin was tragically killed back in, 2008?
2008 on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day, 2008. And he got tragically killed by a young man. He got killed, took his life. We're still blessed to have Emmanuel in our lives. He looked just like his dad, just a lighter version of him, complexion-wise. But
he's feeding everything.
Yeah, but look just like his pa. And so so sometimes when I see Jaden, it brings back the memories of Justin. Emmanuel. Emmanuel. I think about his father. Think about Justin. So yeah. So like I said again, when I get a chance to get back this way to Chicago, I try to come at least twice a year. I think I've been here 3 times this year so far. I think. But I try to get back this way from Clarksville, Mississippi, is where I currently live, with my current wife, Jeanette Franklin, and we both live down there in a 2-bedroom home in Clarksville, Mississippi, on Madison Street. And so yeah, when I can get this way, I try to make it this way to spend time with my 2 sons and the grandbabies, and my brother. I got a brother here also, my youngest brother, David Franklin. He's still living here in the Chicagoland area. He stays in Dalton. My sister, Maria Bailey, she stays, I believe, in I want to say that area. She stays in, I think it's Chicago, not Chicago Heights. She stays south suburbs, like by Hazel Crest. She stay in that area, Country Club Hills. That's the area she stay. And so I try to get this way and see my sister and my brother as often as I can. And so again, I'm grateful to stay at family here. My mother's side of the family here is in Chicago. My cousin Vernell, my cousin Cordy, my cousin Ruby, my cousin Viola, my cousin Craig. And so those are some of my mother's older sisters. I got also a cousin named Tina, and a cousin Ann, my cousin Rochelle, my cousin Faye. And so yeah, I got some few cousins here on my mother's side of the family. So yes, when I get a chance to get this way to Chicago, I try to see all that I can see in that time frame that I'm here. I also try to see my sister Daphne. She's like my best friend, one of my best friends here. My best friend Ron and slash big brother Ron and sister-in-law Sean. They used to stay here in Dalton. They used to stay here in Country Club Hills, in Glenwood, off of Glenwood Dyer Road. Now they recently moved to Texas, so they're in Texas now. So yep, so they stay with Sean's daughter Shantae. So yeah, so again, I try to see all I can see when I can, as God blesses me to see, because we take for granted that we got tomorrow, and a lot of times we don't have tomorrow. I lost my brother there. I started to call him one night, didn't call him. He passed away that night. So again, we just take for granted that we got 5 minutes from now, later on from now, tomorrow. You ain't got tomorrow. So if you got a chance to call your loved ones and tell them that you love them, you're thinking about them, by all means do so. Because tomorrow, again, is not promised for everybody. You gonna think of anything else?
Yeah, so another thing, you and my mom you was 24?
When I married your mother, I was 24, and she was 21. I think she was 20 or 20. Yeah, 21.
Okay. And then at Christ Bible Center, do you have any other really close friend that you haven't mentioned as of yet who possibly could have been my godparents?
Well, your one godparent was Quinn's god. Well, your godparent was Carla. Carla was your mother's best friend at the time. I don't know if Carla's still living, her and her husband. I don't know if they're still living or not. But Carla was your godmother. Your godfather, I had asked Pastor Michael Smith, and I also asked Ernie was also Quentin's godfather. So
I knew they were somewhere, Ernie and Didi. That's how they get to it.
They was Quentin's godparents. They were married at the time. Of course, now they're no longer together, but they're still friends. They have a set of family, which is like your cousins. Them.
Right, but Pastor, you said Mike and Sherry is my godparents.
Yeah, they was Mike was your godfather.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, Mike was your godfather.
We're gonna talk about this, Mike.
yeah. We got ready to give you back to the Lord. You was a newborn baby. Carla and Mike was right there. Mike was my best man when I got married to Karen, and so he's like one of my brothers. You know, he was like my second best friend. Frank Barksdale being the first one, Michael Smith being my second best friend, and again now Ron Stevenson being my big brother / best friend. You know, Ron and I touched off on so many levels as far as our love for the Lord, as well as both of us being drummers. And, you know, so we touched on so many points as far as our friendship is concerned. So yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, I think that's gonna pretty much conclude, man. This documentary. I also just wanted to add, man, you done a great job, Pops. You know what I'm saying? You get 3 boys. You know what I'm saying? You did the best you could, man. I think that's really all you can ask anybody. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you have parents. Sometimes when you're young, you want to kind of like, judge them for some things that you don't quite understand. But I feel like the older you get to understand that you always have to accept people for where they are in life. You know what I'm saying? And be acceptable, because we all go through stuff.
Yeah.
But when somebody is always as well as receptible to conversations, and sometimes not always easy conversations,
Right.
that's a parent you want to be like, okay, you know what? I'm okay with them, because at least they're receptive to my points of views, and my pops has always been that. So I want to thank you, man. Thank my pops, man, for doing the best you could, man, and we appreciate you, man. So this is what this documentary is about, man. Just showing appreciation. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and until next time, y'all take care.
All right. God bless.
God bless.